Good afternoon. My name is David Williams. I'm the City of Tempe's hearing officer. The City of Tempe hearing officer is authorized by Arizona Revised Statute and the City of Tempe Zoning and Development Code and has the duty to carry out the provisions and intent of the city's adopted general plan and zoning and development code. The hearing officer is granted authority to conduct public hearings to review and either approve, continue, deny, or approve with conditions several types of cases, including use permits, variances, and property abatements. On today's agenda, for example, we have 9 items that'll be heard, including a set of meeting minutes from our last hearing officer meeting on November 7th, 2 items that are abatement cases, and 6 use permit requests on the agenda today. Just make a note in case you were here for agenda item number 4. That case has been withdrawn as the property has been brought into compliance. And if you're here for agenda item number 5, that case has also been withdrawn as that property has been brought into compliance. Those are both abatement cases, the Courtney property and the Plateau Capital property. As a hearing officer, I have reviewed and carefully reviewed the City of Tempe Community Development Department report on each of the items that are being considered today, and I used that report during the deliberations and in preparation of the meeting. Additionally, I have driven by each of the properties that are on the agenda today to do a little inspection, so I have an understanding of the as-built and the conditions on the property, the maintenance conditions on the property, abutting properties, and the immediate vicinity. If you are an applicant or an interested citizen, when your request is called or when you wish to address the hearing officer, please step on up to the microphone at the front of the room and state your name and city of residence. If you are someone other than the applicant and you wish to speak, that's great, but do fill out a white speaker's card, which are sitting up on the table next to the podium, and there's also some in the back of the room. And please hand that speaker card in when you come up to speak, if you would. You're given about 3 minutes to speak, if you like. Any person who might be aggrieved by a decision that's made by the hearing officer today has the right to file an appeal, and that needs to be done within 14 calendar days from the date of the decision. So as such, the deadline to file an appeal for decisions made today is 3 p.m. December 18th, 2017. Appeals of the decisions of the hearing officer are either heard by the Board of Adjustment or the Development Review Commission, whichever body is appropriate to the type of case that's being appealed. In the case of a property abatement, if the property owner fails to file an appeal or fails to bring the property into compliance prior to this appeal date, the code violations that are addressed today at the hearing will be abated by the City of Tempe. Before we get started, let me introduce our City of Tempe staff. Over to my right, Steve Abrahamson, Principal Planner, Diane McGuire, Administrative Assistant, and Lee Jimenez, Senior Planner. Okay, let's jump on into, agenda item number 1, which is approval of the minutes for November 7th. I have reviewed those minutes. They are an accurate reflection of the proceedings from November 7th, and they are hereby approved. Next on the agenda is item number 2. This is a request for approval to abate public nuisance items at the Williams property. This is case CE 175195, and it's located at 1045 West 9th Street. The applicant is the City of Tempe. Excuse me, Mr. Lara Reyes.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Andres Lara Reyes, the City of Tempe Code Compliance Division. I'm here to request an abatement property at 1045 West 9th Street in Tempe, Arizona, 5281. It's a property that has been in violation since June 27, 2017. And this is for a violation of trash, litter, debris, bicycle tools, toolboxes in the carport area. That's City of Tempe Code 213B1. It's also in violation for City of Tempe Code 213B3 for an inoperable vehicle with flat tires in the carport. These violations have not been corrected. There's been a couple of notices that were mailed, and 3 citations were issued to Mr. Scott Williams, owner of the property, and there has been no response from the owner.
Thank you. Is the property vacant? Looks like that house is
No,
vacant.
no, it's not.
Okay, well, I was at the property today and I did observe the vehicle, the bikes, and other, what I'll call junk.
Right.
Which of course is another man's treasure. But thank you very much for your report.
Sure.
Is there anyone is the property owner here today or a representative on this case? Agenda item number 2, Williams property. Okay, not seeing anyone. Again, I did observe the conditions. How long have you been dealing with this case, Mr. Larreyes?
For almost 6 months, since June.
Has there been any improvement on the property since?
No, none at all.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, having observed the property, staff report on the issues at hand, this abatement is approved as requested by staff for a 180-day open abatement. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
Next on the agenda today is item number 3. This is another abatement case. It's a request approval to abate public nuisance items at the Salado property, CE 176727. It's located at 4420 South Fair Lane. The applicant's the City of Tempe. Ms. Zedler.
Brandy Zedler, Code Inspector with the City of Tempe. I am requesting a 180-day open abatement for 4420 South Fair Lane, which is in Tempe, Arizona 85282. The complaint originated on August 21st, 2017, concerning lawn parking, junk and debris, and broken windows. As of today, the property is still in violation. The vehicle that was submitted as part of the abatement has been removed from the side yard and relocated to a different location. I'm not sure where at this point. The junk and debris is an ongoing issue with that property. I go and drive by there quite often, every other day possibly, and it seems that he has continuous different items strung out through his front yard, driveway, carport area, with no improvement whatsoever, just different items. Landscaping has been an issue, hasn't really done any improvements since August to reflect any change. So at this point, I am requesting the approval of the 180-day open abatement to rectify the junk and debris and the landscaping violation. I have had continuous complaints coming in from the neighbors. I've also been stopped out in the field numerous times in concern of this property and its condition. So I feel like it needs to be addressed as soon as possible.
Thank you, Ms. Zedler. Do you know if the property is owner occupied?
The owner on the property, I believe, is deceased. I believe that the son is living in the property. From my research, there's no water bill that's currently open at the property, and he seems to be living like a transient type lifestyle. I haven't had any contact with him since the beginning.
That was my next question, if you had any contact and when the last time was.
No.
He was there today when I went by. Looked almost like he was setting things up to sell or something. It was doing some kind of routine in the front yard.
It appears that way, although I have never seen him have any sale signs or anything of that nature. It's just accumulation of different things. It's never the same things out just everywhere.
Okay, and this been complaint driven by other property owners in the immediate neighborhood?
Yeah, they're very concerned. I would say I've received at least 10 complaints from various neighbors, and I've been stopped out in the field several times.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is the property owner here or a representative for case number 3? This is the Salado property. Not seeing anybody. As I just mentioned, I did drive by this property today and observe the conditions with junk and some storage that was visible and deteriorated landscape and weeds. Based on the lack of contact, lack of any progress, and the concern of the neighbors, your request for an open 180-day abatement is approved. Thank you very much. Okay, as we mentioned at the top of the show, items 4 and 5 are going to be not heard today because they were brought into compliance. So that takes us to agenda item number 6, which is a request for approval of a use permit to allow a 65-foot tall concealed wireless telecommunication facility in the form of a monopalm for T-Mobile Notham Properties. This is case PL 170235, and it's located at 1012 East Vista del Cerro Drive, and the applicant is Nancy Smith of WICO. Mr. Jimenez.
Good evening, Hearing Officer Williams. My name is Lee Jimenez. I'm the Senior Planner with the Community Development Department in the Planning Division. T-Mobile Notham Properties is proposing to replace an existing flagpole stealth wireless telecommunication facility with a new faux palm tree, also known as a monopalm, on tracks A and B of the Broadway Square subdivision, located east of South Rural Road, north of East Vista del Cerro Drive, within the GID General Industrial District. Applicant Nancy Smith of WYCO indicates that the new monopalm, I thought I had the scenario, excuse me. The new monopalm facility will accommodate 9 antennas, 7 radio remote heads at the 61-foot center line, and will be screened with 55 distributed palm fronds. All equipment will be painted to match either the faux bark trunk or the palm fronds. The site has many palm trees, and other monopalms are located in the general vicinity. To date, no public input has been received by staff, and based on the information provided by the applicant and public input received, which is none, staff supports this request and believes that this application meets the approval criteria for the use permit. And I'll be available should you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. Yeah, this is right across the street from a residential area, so I was interested to see if there was public input, and as your report states, it has not been any public concern expressed, and that's true through today, right? Even after the
By
report
phone
was
and email,
issued.
I have not received any. That's correct.
Okay, good to know. Usually the city encourages co-location for these type of facilities when they're in the form of a palm tree. Can you explain some limitations or what happens when they're a palm tree?
That's correct. So as part of the wireless telecommunication requirements for new facilities, they're required to do a feasibility study, which takes a half mile radius of the proposed site for options to co-locate on. In this area, there's only other monopalms, which has been explained by the applicant is difficult to co-locate on because of trying to maintain the south facility. And when you add on to monopalms, you either need those pineapple additions to the monopalm, or in some jurisdictions they allow for dead fronds or a mimic of dead fronds on the site. And we don't, staff doesn't generally support that type of modification. And so in this case, that's why a new monopalm or a replacement of a flagpole is the option and what we support.
Very good. So something new to me and might be new to the public too is a radio remote head. Can you explain for anybody who might be curious what that is?
I am
We know what a panel
no
antenna
expert
is.
in the equipment portion, but radio
What
remote
did it
heads
look
are,
like?
from what I understand, and hopefully the applicant can explain further,
Okay,
are,
we can do that.
radio is equipment that's behind or installed behind the antennas, and not in front of the antennas. So it's installed behind the antennas on the arrays. But the applicant can probably explain that in further detail than I.
Okay. And let me see. And this, as you mentioned, this is replacing the flagpole.
That's correct.
Antenna that's there, the
In
white
early-
flagpole.
Which was approved back in, I believe, in 2000. And there's limitations to what they can provide on that flagpole that fits within the within the
Right.
the flagpole structure itself.
Yeah, it kind of is a canister with antennas inside. Okay, and this is 65 feet tall, right?
65 feet at the top of the antenna and the actual pole itself, so the fronds will extend slightly above that.
Okay, thank you very much. Is the applicant here today? Welcome.
Hi, I'm Nancy Smith from Queen Creek, Arizona. This is Rebecca Gray. She works with me.
Thanks for being here today. Any information you'd like to present, you're welcome to do so. And if you've got any questions, let me know.
To answer your question regarding the RRHs, they are to help boost the signal behind the antenna so that the data capacities are larger and can handle more traffic.
How big are they? A remote radio head? Like a pumpkin or a carriage?
It's like a 2 foot by 1 foot by about 8 inches deep. They're
Okay,
not,
more like a pumpkin then.
yeah.
Okay. I couldn't find any drawing or detail, but I looked up what it was. So it's really not very visible,
No.
if at all,
Correct.
because it's behind.
Behind the
panel.
antenna and painted to match. Yes.
Okay. Yes, and I like the painted to match. Did you have anything you wanted to present today?
No, I think Lee did a great job of presenting what we are trying to do here. We're happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Okay, there are 6 conditions of approval. Are you aware of those, and do you have any questions regarding those conditions of approval?
Lee has mentioned them to us, and there's no issues with those.
Okay. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on agenda item number 6, T-Mobile's request for a 65-foot tall wireless communication facility? Not seeing anyone in the audience. This is a use permit. There's some criteria we want to put on the record in terms of the application needing to meet town or city required criteria, including any significant increase in vehicular traffic or pedestrian traffic. And certainly this type of facility will not increase traffic either on foot or in vehicle. And a nuisance arising from odor, dust, gas, noise, vibration, smoke, heat, or glare. Not any concerns that I'm finding regarding those issues for this application, and that criteria is met. Contribution to the deterioration of the neighborhood and downgrading of property values. I think with the stealth application, what we do is prevent an eyesore, and we mitigate potential deterioration of property values in that way. And I find this criteria met. Compatibility with surrounding structures. We've got other antennas there. It's an industrially zoned property, and it certainly is compatible with the structures and the uses on site. And finally, adequate control of disruptive behavior inside and outside the premises. No disruptive behavior is anticipated with the installation or maintenance of this facility. As such, then, the request for use permit for agenda item number 6 for T-Mobile is approved, subject to the 6 conditions listed in the staff report. And thank you for being here today. Okay, we shall move onward and upwards to agenda item number 7. This is also a use permit request to allow Fitness Center for Redemption, Nutrition, and Fitness, case PL 170310. The property or the location is 1625 West University, Suite 112, and the applicants are Devon Phillips and Itzel Ochoa. I apologize if I screwed up your names. Mr. Jimenez.
Good evening. Once again, Lee Jimenez, Senior Planner with the Community Development Department of the Planning Division. Redemption Nutrition and Fitness is proposing to operate in Suite 112 of the 1625 building of the Gateway University 2 Industrial Office Park, located on the southeast corner of West University Drive and South Edward Drive within the GID General Industrial District. The applicants, Devon Phillips and Itzel Ochoa, intend to provide a nutrition and fitness center facility which provides workouts and healthy meal replacement protein shakes, The business will operate Monday through Friday from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. To date, no public input has been received, and based on the information provided by the applicant and the public input received, which has been none, staff supports this request and believes that this application meets the approval criteria for the use permit. And I'll be available should you have any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jimenez. We discussed this in our study session a little bit. I think my immediate questions have been addressed. And I got a couple questions maybe for the applicant. So why don't we hear from the applicant? Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. Is the applicant our representative here for this case? This is item number 7, to allow a use permit for a fitness center for Redemption Nutrition and Fitness. No representative. Mr. Abrahamson, I'm inclined to continue the case. I am open to staff's suggestion.
There we go. In the past, recent past, it's been a continuance under these circumstances. We have, in the distant past, had hearing officers that have opined on the case without the applicant present, but that does not provide the opportunity for the applicant to agree or disagree with the conditions of approval. So it's your purview.
Thank you for the information and that input. I appreciate it. Before I go any further, if there is anybody who came today to speak on this case, this is a public hearing, and I would be interested to hear from you. I think we will likely continue this. So if you are here, is anybody here who wanted to speak on this case? Agenda item 7. Okay, so can we continue to December 19th, staff? Is that doable? Mr. Jimenez.
Oh, for the record, I just want to let you know that I didn't receive any phone calls or emails from the applicant explaining why they're not present.
Okay.
But I do recall informing them about the hearing and their required attendance.
And this is a little bit unusual. We
That's
normally
correct.
would have an applicant here, so this is not business as usual for the city, I would dare say. Okay, I think this is a pretty good application. I do have a few questions about it, so because of those questions, I am going to continue item number 7, the use permit for Redemption Nutrition and Fitness, to the December 19th hearing officer meeting. And we will move on to agenda item number 8. And agenda item number 8 is a request approval for a use permit for a 65-foot tall concealed wireless telecommunication facility. This will be in the form of a broadleaf tree as opposed to a palm tree for T-Mobile, located at Wheels Specialist, case PL 170326. This building and site is at 701 South Perry Lane, and the applicant is Julia Coca of EcoSite. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. Mr. Jimenez, can we have a staff report?
Good evening, once again, Lee Jimenez, Senior Planner with the Community Development Department in the Planning Division. T-Mobile Wheel Specialist is proposing a new faux tree, also known as a broadleaf monopole, stealth wireless telecommunication facility on Lot 2 of the University Perry subdivision, which is located on east of South Perry Lane and north of East University Drive in the GID, General Industrial District. The applicant, Julie Coca of EcoSite, indicates that the new stealth facility will accommodate 2 carriers, T-Mobile at the 61-foot center line and the future carrier at the 51-foot center line. T-Mobile equipment consists of 6 antennas and 9 radio remote heads. Antennas will be concealed with socks designed to match the artificial leaves, and all other equipment will be painted to match the faux bark trunk or the leaves and branches. Since this new facility will occupy a required parking landscape island, a new island with the required tree and vegetative ground cover is required in the area directly adjacent to the north of the leased area, as shown on the proposed landscape plan in the project development file. The new facility is located at the rear of the lot behind the industrial building. The applicant notes that other broadleaf trees of similar height exist in the general vicinity. And these examples are, as well as actual broadleaf monopole examples, are provided also in the development project file. And to date, no public input has been received by staff. And based on the information provided by the applicant and public input received, staff supports this request and believes that the application meets all the approval criteria for the use permit. And I'll be available should you have any questions.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. And I did notice we were losing a tree, so I appreciate staff's recognition and providing for that to be replaced. Thank you, sir. Is the applicant here or a representative for this case? Come on up. And welcome.
Welcome, thank you. My name is Julie Coca. I represent EcoSites, and I'm from the city of Phoenix. I reside in Phoenix.
If you have any information you'd like to present, you're welcome to do so. At a minimum, I'd like you to show us a picture of this faux tree. Or staff may have one if you don't have one handy.
I don't think I have a copy of the examples.
There you go.
There's one.
Yep. Thank you.
So I applaud the use of this type of tree versus a palm in this situation. So I think that's a good decision on your part. And when everything else you've got to add, go right ahead.
Yes, thank you. So we believe this design is truly a good demonstration of being able to co-locate multiple carriers on there very easily. The overall design will be coming from Larson Camouflage in Tucson, Arizona, so it's also a local manufacturer. I think it's going to blend very well with that neighborhood. We went to great lengths to make sure that we had a good neighborhood design that was going to blend in and not stand out.
Great. Okay, and I think the location's excellent too. It's just not really in anybody's front door or window. So I think that's well cited. When I mentioned the replacement of the tree, there are 8 conditions of approval. Have you seen those, or do you have any questions regarding those?
I have seen those, and I do not see any problem with any of them.
Okay. Thank you very much for being here. I may need to call you back up with a question, but we're good for now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Coker. Is there anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak on agenda item number 8? This is a T-Mobile request for a faux tree wireless facility. I'm not seeing anybody else here to speak. This is a use permit, and as such, there's some criteria that need to be addressed in terms of any significant increase in vehicular traffic. We just ran through these on the other cell tower case, and we'll do it briefly again. There is no anticipated increase in traffic, whether it be pedestrian or vehicular. Nuisance from odor, dust, gas, noise, vibration, smoke, heat, or glare exceeding what's out there today. That is not anticipated at all. I believe that criteria is met. Contribution to the deterioration of the neighborhood and downgrading of values. This is an industrial area. This is well hidden from view. It's off the street, and I find that it will not negatively impact the neighborhood or property values as such. Compatibility with existing surroundings and structures. I think the stealth application of the elm tree is quite appropriate given other broadleaf trees in this subdivision, in this industrial area. Makes a nice fit versus a pine or a palm tree or some of the other options we see. This is a good choice. I think that compatibility criteria is met. And then finally, disruptive behavior inside and outside of the premises. No behavior issues are anticipated or expected in conjunction with this telecommunication facility. So your request for use permit is approved, subject to those 8 conditions in the staff report. Thank you for being here today, and good luck with your project. We're going to move on to agenda item number 9. Which is a request for approval of a use permit for a retail use auto parts store for AutoZone. This is PL 170338. That's located at 433 West Broadway. The applicant's Chris Johnson of Avalon Broadway LLC. Mr. Jimenez, can we have a staff report?
Good evening. Once again, Lee Jimenez, Senior Planner. AutoZone is proposing to operate an auto parts retail store on Lot 5 of the Broadway Industrial Park 6 subdivision in a 9,800 square foot building previously occupied by a medical clinic located south of West Broadway Road and west of South Farmer Avenue in the GID, General Industrial District. Applicant Chris Johnson of Avalon Broadway LLC notes that the store will typically have 6 to 15 employees and customers in the store at any given time, and no major changes are anticipated to the exterior of the building. The store will operate daily from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Most of the anticipated improvements will consist of tenant improvements to convert the clinic layout to a retail floor. Commercial uses exist across Broadway Road. The property to the west consists of another automotive use, a brake shop. And to date, no public input has been received by staff. And based on the information provided by the applicant and the public input received, staff supports this request and believes that the application meets all the approval criteria of the use permit.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. I don't have any additional questions at this time. Thank you, sir. Is the applicant or their representative here today? Come on down. And welcome.
Thank you. My name is Chris Johnson. I'm Phoenix, Arizona. I'm with Avalon.
Great. Not too much to ask you. I think it's a great, get some use in this building is excellent, and I certainly support it. There are 4 fairly standard conditions of approval with this case. You have any questions or concerns with those?
No, sir.
Conditions? Okay. One other thing is there is an amazing tree out front of this building. Can you talk to me about the future of that tree?
As far as we know, that tree is remaining.
Okay, and that's a street tree, right? Is that actually on the site or in the right-of-way, do you know?
It's in the right-of-way, I believe.
Okay.
I can confirm that and get back to
Okay.
staff.
I don't know if you need city approval to modify it or not. I would urge preservation of that tree as much to the greatest extent possible.
Understood.
Thank you for being here today.
You, sir.
And that's all I've got for you. I may ask you back, but I think we're good. Anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on agenda item 9, AutoZone's request for use permit for retail auto parts on Broadway? I'm not seeing anyone else to speak. There are some criteria with this case as well in terms of increase in vehicular and pedestrian traffic. This site is formerly a medical clinic, which has a reasonably high trip generation or trip rate. So I think the auto parts store is a reasonable substitution, about the same traffic we would have there that we've had there on the site before. And with 2 driveways, the site is well designed to handle that traffic. I think that criteria is met. Nuisance from odor, dust, gas, noise, vibration, and smoke, that's not expected. I don't expect a lot of car repairs in the parking lot, but I expect management of the property to take care of that in a reasonable fashion. So does not become a nuisance. So I find that criteria met. Contribution to the deterioration of the neighborhood or downgrading of property values. I see the occupation of a vacant building as quite the opposite, pushing the neighborhood up, making investment in the neighborhood, and improving property values. So this criteria, in my mind, is easily met. Compatibility with surrounding structures and uses. This is Broadway Road. There's other automotive uses and similar retail structures and uses along this corridor, and this parts store fits in pretty nicely. This criteria is adequately met in my mind. And then finally, control of disruptive behavior inside and outside the premises. We don't normally associate auto parts with disruptive behavior, either indoors or outdoor, so no concerns, and feel this criteria is also met. Your request for use permit is approved, subject to the 4 conditions in the staff report, and good luck with your remodel and your project. Okay, we will move on to agenda item number 10, which is a request for approval for a use permit to allow vehicle sales, indoor vehicle sales, for Akoi Motors, PL 170359, located at 909 South Hokum Drive. The applicant is Bakri Alomeri of AKO Investments LLC. I apologize if I mispronounced the name. Mr. Jimenez, can we have a staff report?
Good evening. Lee Jimenez once again. AKOI, or Akoi Motors, is a vehicle servicing and maintenance business operating on Lot 11 of the Hohokam Industrial Park, which is located south of the intersection of West University Drive and South Hohokam Drive within the GID, General Industrial District. Applicant Bakri Alomeri of AKO Investments is requesting a use permit to add indoor vehicle sales to the existing operation. The business will operate Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. No changes are anticipated to the exterior of the building, and similar operations exist at the same site and also within the general vicinity. To date, no public input has been received by staff, and based on the information provided by the applicant and the public input received, staff supports this request and believes that the application meets all the approval criteria for a use permit. And I'll be available should you have any questions.
Just one question, Mr. Jimenez. So you mentioned there are other similar uses. Did those uses obtain a use permit as well for to operate there?
As far as my knowledge goes, because I processed a use permit, the neighboring suite located on the same parcel did get their use permit back in April of this year. So as far as the other locations, I am unsure, but it all comes down to whether they followed through with their use permit. Otherwise, they would be non-conforming with the code.
Understood. So for the record, as far as we know, and that I have personal knowledge, that there are other uses that have come through before the hearing officer and been reviewed and subsequently approved for this.
That's correct.
In this very same building, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay. That's what I wanted to clarify. Great. Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. Is the applicant here or their representative? And again, I apologize if I mispronounce your name, and welcome.
Thank you.
Any information you'd like to present, you're welcome to do, or any questions you have, this is your time.
I would like to add that we do all of our business based on appointment only. So we don't have anybody coming in off of the street or any kind of, just drive by or walk by appointments, walk-in appointments, and we typically, on average, don't expect to sell any more than 5 to 10 cars a month. So it wouldn't be too many people coming in. Other than that, I think we added everything in the application.
Okay. Do you have any other facilities or car operations or car sales operations that you're involved in the city of Tempe or
No,
greater area?
no.
This is for indoor only in terms of it prohibits any outdoor advertising or display of vehicles?
Absolutely.
Is that, you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, great. And then there are 6 conditions of approval in the staff report. Have you seen those? Do you have any questions or concerns regarding those conditions of approval?
I don't have any concerns, no.
Okay, very good. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
You're welcome to have a seat. If I have any further questions, I'll ask you back up.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak on agenda item number 10? I do have a white speaker card for Mike Reese.
I was just there in
Oh,
case you had any questions. I own the building.
Okay,
The other
perfect.
applicant, it was in April.
Yeah, thank you, staff. And thank you for getting me the info.
Yeah, I'm the building owner, and you had asked about the other applicant in April. They do the same, kind of the same thing. You know, they've been a good tenant. We haven't had any trouble with anybody. these gentlemen
No disruptive behavior inside or
No.
outside?
No, they don't. They seem to. It's kind of cool. They work. The guys that went in there, they work late. They come in late and work late. It kind of gives them more of a secure feeling to the area at night. Across the street, there's people that work late, and over the years, it's just been a great neighborhood. Medtronic, as you know, is right down the street, and it's
Very good.
so everybody seems happy.
Thank you, Mr. Reese.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being here as well. Okay, anyone else who wants to speak on agenda item 10? Not seeing anyone else. As mentioned, there are some criteria for use permits in the city of Tempe, including increase in vehicular or pedestrian traffic. I think there will be an increase in traffic, particularly vehicular, but I don't think it's unreasonable or the site is unable to handle that traffic. In fact, the traffic to be expected would be normal for this type of facility and building, and as such, that criteria is satisfied. Nuisance from odor, dust, gas, noise, vibration. This is not a repair or paint facility, as I understand it. No nuisance in that regard is expected. Contribution to deterioration of the neighborhood. Again, when we occupy vacant space and create more business and commerce, I think we improve the neighborhood and we improve property values. And this criteria is also met. Compatibility with surrounding structures. This is an industrial area. There are similar uses in the very same building. There are industrial uses and office uses across the street. And this is quite compatible with that immediate neighborhood. And then finally, control of disruptive behavior inside and out. This type of facility doesn't tend to generate these types of concerns, and I have no such concern that this would be any different, and as such, criteria 5 is met. Therefore, your request for use permit for vehicle sales is approved, subject to those conditions, those 6 conditions in the staff report. Thank you both for being here today, and good luck with your business.
Thank you.
Do one more. Hearing item number 11, request approval for a use permit for vehicle sales. Again, this is an indoor operation for Wheels in Motion Auto Sales, case PL 170362, located at 685 West Elliott Road, and the applicant is Tim Zarbach. Mr. Jimenez.
Good evening once again, Lee Jimenez, Senior Planner with the Community Development Department in the Planning Division. Wheels in Motion Auto Sales is relocating a pre-owned automotive retail business onto Lot 2 of the Elliott Corporate Center, Lot 1 subdivision, which is located south of West Elliott Road and east of South Roosevelt Road within the GID, General Industrial District. The applicant, Tim Zarbach, has outgrown the current location that he has at 7425 South Harrell Avenue in the city of Tempe and plans to move into a more suitable location. The business will operate Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sundays from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. No changes are anticipated to the exterior of the building. The proposed use is consistent with the commercial uses across Elliott Road and adjacent, along with the adjacent industrial and office uses nearby. To date, no public input has been received by staff, and based on the information provided by the applicant and the public input received, staff supports this request and believes that the application meets all the approval criteria for the use permit.
Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. Appreciate your report. Thank you. Is the applicant here or their representative? Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Williams. Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for being here. Any information you'd like to present or any questions you may have?
I really don't have any questions. Like Lee said, we're growing. We've enjoyed doing business in the city of Tempe for the last 3 years, and we're looking to continue the relationship with just a little bit more retail space.
Excellent. I thought it was a great location choice. The site seems adequately laid out and designed to handle your use. There are 6 conditions in the staff report. Are you familiar with those, and do you have any questions regarding those?
I do not have any questions.
Okay. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. You're welcome. Anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak on agenda item number 11, use permit for vehicle sales for Wheels in Motion on West Elliott Road? Not seeing anyone here to speak on that case. This is a use permit and requires satisfaction of 5 criteria, including increase in vehicular pedestrian traffic. Hopefully, this will increase vehicular traffic and will be a successful business. I think that increase is expected and the site is adequately designed to handle that traffic, and that criteria is met. Nuisance from odor, dust, gas, noise, vibration, smoke, etc. Again, it's not a repair shop or a paint facility. It is simply sales, indoor sales at that, and no nuisance is expected to arise from that activity associated with this use permit. Contribution to the deterioration of the neighborhood or downgrading of property values. When we get a vacant space occupied, I think we do the opposite, as I've said, and this is a boost to the neighborhood, and it improves property values when when buildings are occupied with successful businesses, and I think this criteria is met as well. And certainly the use is compatible with surrounding structures and uses. As an indoor use, as specified by staff, is completely compatible, in my opinion, and that criteria is met. And adequate control of disruptive behavior inside and out, that's not expected nor been experienced with this type of use, and that criteria is met in my mind as well. Then, as such, the request for use permit for Wheels in Motion for indoor auto sales is approved, subject to the 6 conditions in the staff report, and I wish you luck with your business. Good luck with your business. You're welcome. Yeah, you too. Okay, that's our last item on today's agenda. The next meeting of the hearing officer will be on Tuesday, December 19th, 2017, here in the City Council chambers. Mr. Abrahamson, anything you'd like to add?
No, Hearing Officer Williams, thank you.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you, staff. See you guys in 2 weeks, and today's meeting is adjourned.